everybody. I am the Proactive Caregiver, and I specialize in educating others on how to be proactive by empowering you, the caregiver, because you cannot take care of your loved one if you do not take care of yourself. Today, I want to talk to you about caregiver rejection. This is one area that I did not expect to experience or become the challenge that it did. And as small as this sounds, because most of us would probably come to this point and say, well, fine, I'm washing my hands of this. You don't want my help. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I've got, 10 other things I could be doing right now. And that's what I did in the beginning. But this is where it changes. Because if you're like me, then walking away is easy enough, but you can't stay away because guilt starts to drip in. It starts to pepper the thoughts of, what if I should have stayed? What if I should have done something differently? What if? So let me break this down a little bit more so you get an idea of what rejection looked like to me and what you might be seeing also. Because if you're seeing this, then you're probably dismissing some of these early signs like I did. So it was a Sunday afternoon after church. Our boys were dressed in their Sunday best, and I wanted to show them off to Mom. But I also wanted to get some eyes on her because even though I walked away, I continued to call her to check on her during the week. How's it going, Mom? What's happening? How are you feeling? What do you need? What's going on? And the one thing I consistently heard was, I'm fine. I don't need anything. I'm fine. Stop worrying. I'm fine. I took that as the answer. We're good. She said I'm fine because I needed her to be fine. I wanted her to be fine. And for those few times before, I saw a physical woman, an adult in front of me that for all intents and purposes should have been fine, should have been able to do groceries, clean house, manage meals, medication. But every time I said, are you sure? Yes, yes, I'm fine. That nagging feeling that says, just let it go, but at the same time, I can't let it go, just lingered. So this Sunday, we drove up. I said, that's it, no more. We're going to go see you. She had to have seen us coming because as I entered the cul-de-sac for my childhood home, the 3 front windows, these 3 singular windows, the curtains were drawn. The blinds were open. So by the time we pulled into the driveway, she was already at the door. The screen door pushed wide open. Hi! What a surprise! It's so good to see you. Come on in. The boys ran right in past her. They were ready to see what was on TV. It was kind of like, hi, Grandma, gotta go. As I walked closer to her, I could see Mom dressed in this white t-shirt, this baggy white t-shirt, baggy beige capri pants, and baggy white floppy socks. As I enter into the foyer, I see the first end table off to the left. It's got a stack of junk mail on it. Didn't think much about it. Just walking into the house, the couch that lined the back of the windows, and then a few more steps into the foyer, past into the living room, there's a second end table to the right. Another stack of papers, another stack of junk mail with some unopened mail, kind of looked like bills, and the couch that was perpendicular to the right. So as I'm walking into the house and I'm seeing this stretch out, I'm first seeing the junk. Didn't bother me until I get a little further into the house and you see the coffee table that is also covered with junk mail. And this time I see empty boxes from pizza, from chicken, fried chicken, or whatever her takeout was. And you could tell that it had been there for a while because you see the dried dressings or sauces in them. Now I'm beginning to wonder, what in the world? Okay, at least she's eating. She's eating. She's obviously getting out of the house to check the mail because the remnants is here. Some of it had spilled over to the floor. We spent some time getting another meal ordered, chatting, conversation is great, it's flowing. But I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I can't just sit here. I can't just look at this. So I go to the kitchen and I grab a bag and I start putting the junk mail into the bag right away. She's, no, don't do that. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'll get to it later. No telling how long it had already been sitting there. But I wanted something to do, and I just couldn't sit there and see that because my wheels were turning. How fine is she? I go into the kitchen and I put the bag down and I notice the medications kind of look like they're stockpiling. The Monday through Sunday box, still full. Maybe Tuesday was missing. Coincidence? Maybe. So then I come back and we're having this wonderful conversation, catching up of who's doing what and what the boys are doing in school. And the time comes where, okay, this was a great visit, but it's time for us to head out. I already made up my mind that I was coming back next weekend to check in on her, not just do more phone calls and hear that I'm fine. So the next Saturday rolls around. She didn't know I was coming. Pull into the cul-de-sac. The curtains were closed. So were the blinds. She had no idea of knowing who was driving up into her driveway. So I knocked on the door. No response, no answer. I rang the doorbell this time and the dog is going off, barking, going crazy. So surely she should hear someone is at the door or something's happening that make the dog go berserk. Still nothing. I knocked one more time and kind of hollered, "Hey Mom, it's Jess, I'm here." The dog comes to the door barking and barking and barking. And eventually I hear the shuffle on the inside, just enough to tell that, okay, oops, I woke her up. Well, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. She doesn't normally take naps. I hope everything's okay. She opens the door. And this time, instead of that excited look on her face, she's kind of leaning into the door. She's wearing a white t-shirt, now dingy with food stains on the front. Beige capri pants, now dingy and food stains on the pants. And floppy, dingy white socks now. Wow, that was a panic moment. But I still entered the house, still played the role. How's it going, Mom? How's everything happening on your neck of the woods over here? What's going on? You want to go do some grocery shopping? Let's get in the shower and then we'll go do some groceries. No, I don't need it. I'm fine. It's okay. Just stop bothering me. I got this covered. Okay, so what's new? Not much. Same old. And this conversation goes on like this. And I'm looking around the house and I'm seeing those same stacks of junk mail again. Okay, so she's still getting up out of the house. She's still getting some circulation. She's checking the mail. But then I go pick up the mail and start opening some of it. They're past due notices. Mom's telling me at this point, don't worry about that. I don't bother with it. I don't need it. But Mom, this one says past due. This one says second notice. This one, you've got to pay the utilities. I'm not worried about it. How in the world do you think you're going to continue receiving utilities at this house if you're not going to pay for them? reasoning is gone. But I didn't recognize it then. Go back to the kitchen, get another trash bag, start picking everything up. And at this point, she's sleepy. She's irritated. She doesn't want to see that I just randomly showed up, got the dog barking and going berserk so that I can start picking up in the house. But as I'm picking up, I'm upset. But it doesn't come out as being upset and concerned. It comes out as frustration. Why won't you throw this stuff away? You don't need this junk mail. Why don't you put the bills somewhere where you can see them next to your checkbook so you remember to pay them? Why don't you go to the grocery store and start eating healthier instead of this fast food stuff that you keep eating? You know it's not good for you. This is the conversation that started to happen every time I came to visit her. I didn't know how to handle this. And the only thing for me was to walk away. Because no matter how much I stepped in to do, it was always the pushback. I don't need this. I don't need you. I can do it by myself. That's hurtful. Because again, in my mind, I'm thinking, I have 10 other things, at least 10 other things. I have my own house that I need to clean. I'm here because I'm worried. I'm here because something doesn't seem right and I can't quite put my finger on it. See, every time she said, I'm fine, when the boys were there and my husband was there, it was this look of embarrassment. But at this point in time, seeing her say it, there was this different look. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it wasn't just embarrassment because at this point it's just me. And that connection with my mother and I mean, she could tell me to kiss her butt and get out the door, but that's not how our conversations would go. Her conversations would always be the, I'm fine, leave me alone, don't worry about it, I'll do it later. Looking back on it now, reflecting, I can see that that was those first signs of what is called anosognosia. At that point in time, I had never heard of that word, nor would I have heard of that word for another 10 years. 10 years. Because these are behaviors that we look at and we see the adult that says, I'm fine. And if an adult tells you, I'm fine, okay, fine, I'll leave you alone. But eventually when you hear I'm fine and the environment doesn't look so fine, you can't accept that as the hard stop of I'm not going to ask any more questions. So at this point, I know now I have to become that little 5-year-old and why? And not accept the because. I know I became a little pain in the butt towards her because I wouldn't accept that she was fine because I could see clearly she was not fine. I had those years where the idea of manic depressive bipolar meant avoid the erratic behaviors. But at this point, it wasn't erratic. It felt like that cry for help, but her pride wouldn't accept that she needed help. And understanding what anosognosia is and how it presents, there wasn't much pride involved. Because of those many strokes that she was experiencing, that started those early stages that progressed over the next 10 to 15 years into what is now her 6th stage of dementia. The rejection was painful. And I want to bring it up because we do have those moments that we love our parents, we love our spouse, we love our children. But when there is that pushback that says, leave me alone, you want to honor it and respect it, but it becomes a point in time when you can't, that we shouldn't just take it at face value. I want you to keep these few things in mind. When Mom was saying she was fine and a whole week went by, reasoning, judgment, memory loss, the time slippage, all of that was happening. But I was stuck in between the middle, the sandwich generation of trying to figure out, how do I manage her care and our household, and when do I find time for myself? So I want you to keep these things in mind as the example. Some of the things I didn't see back then with the junk mail, those were hoarding patterns. Accepting that I'm fine, don't accept it unless you are able to get eyes on them. And I know this is hard for those that have family who lives out of state. But sometime you have got to visit, get to know their neighbors, call agencies to figure out what is around them so that they have continual well body checks, just to see what they need and how they are actually living. Listen more intently to the details that you're hearing them say, because the I'm fine followed by I'll do it later and all the stacks and the lack of medication being taken, especially with the medication. If someone's taking heart medication, antidepressants, and other gastrointestinal things, how fine do you think they are if they're not taking their medication regularly? So when your gut, that intuitive command center, tells you that something's not right, take that pause and examine a little bit more closely as to, why does this feel so off? What is off about this? And what can I actually do about this? Because listening more intently might spell out, show you this plan that needs to be made. You may not be comfortable with it. I wasn't at first, because it was more to-dos to add to my already busy schedule. And it was the unknown of, what am I really dealing with? But a plan has to be put in place, because your loved ones are depending on you. No matter how much they are trying to reject your help and push you away, they really still do need you. And if you're struggling with that gut, that intuitive gut feeling, because how am I supposed to know? Well, go back to number 2 of, don't accept I'm fine as the answer. Let your own little inner 5-year-old out and let it ask, so why haven't you taken the medication? Why do you need all these pieces of paper? Or why has the mail not been opened? Why have the bills not been paid? Because those whys should lead into, how can I help you? Rejection of any kind, at work, in relationships, friends, it's never easy. But understanding where that rejection is coming from might make it a little bit easier to handle. Keep it in mind, because every little detail matters. Something that seems insignificant in the moment, but if it's repetitious and those details keep popping up, there's a story there. And it's in your best interest to look into it. This is not going to be an easy road. Just know that rejection will continue to happen, because now, as it continues for me, it doesn't affect me like it used to. Now I know when she says I'm fine, she's really telling me to leave her alone. And if she's telling me to leave her alone, well, what's going on? How do you feel? What's bothering you? What would you like? What do you not like about this situation? How can I change this? And once again, how can I help you? And that answer comes from her a little bit easier now because she knows it's not coming from a place of, oh, I have to do this for you. She's not as embarrassed. There's not as much pride involved. I hope this has helped a little bit and hope this has provided you just a little bit more food for thought. There is some more information on the partner blog for this episode. You can go to www.proactivecaregiver.com to find out more information. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be proactive. Take care.